Hi guys, welcome back to the second week of child safety. This week we are going to be doing house safety / fire safety, and I'm so excited because we have some really fun stuff in our kits from the Toronto Fire Services. So in our kits we have this really fun coloring sheet that we can do together that you guys can do at home with our different fire trucks, police cars, and ambulances. And if you flip it over, it has our fire helpers, our community helpers, and smoke and carbon monoxide alarms are important with our firefighter, which helps identify easily for kids who firefighters are, what they do for us, what's important, as well as the 3 different kinds of emergency vehicles. In our kits, we also have junior firefighter stickers, which are super fun, that we can wear once we finish our kits. And we also have little water tattoos where you just put some water and you can put them wherever you like. Next in our kits, and what I would really like to be going over, is our fire and life safety booklets. These booklets are amazing. They have so many resources for fire safety in the home that are fun for both adults and children to look at. It is full of great resources that we can leave in the house to go back on. These are amazing to keep in the house in an accessible spot. So to open this up, we have our page of emergency contacts. Your own name, your home address, which is very important if you do have to make an emergency call, as well as your meeting place to let others know where to help access you. Next is the home escape plan. This is very, very, very important. I recommend this to almost everybody to help draw out your house. That way children and whoever is in your house, maybe you have a babysitter that hasn't been there before or a family friend, this way they can help know your layout, as well as if you do have a fire. It is very important to know, how do you get out? Where is your meeting place from this spot? I would suggest doing an at-home fire drill at least once a year, twice at most. That way it is practiced. The caregivers and parents, so we don't feel flustered when we're doing them, we're safe, we know which route to take in a high tense situation, as well as children. This way they have a visual and they know which way to exit in a rush. They don't have to think about it. They just know, okay, I've done this before. Where do I go? Where do I wait? Where do I call? Where will my parents be able to find me? We have a little hot or not, and this is very fun because it's just a fun way to go over things that we shouldn't be touching to help create restrictions and boundaries and know where we can get burns. So pliers, not hot, still dangerous. We have to be careful with those. Salt and pepper, not hot. Again, just something we shouldn't be playing with. Candles, that is a fire hazard. We can burn ourselves. Matches, ovens, irons, pots, baths. This is fun to kind of go over and know, okay, what can we talk about? It can also open room for different conversations, as maybe it's not just fire. What can we do in the bath? Again, water safety, that is a drowning hazard. Or computers, let's talk about computer safety. It can open up different conversations to also create those boundaries as well. Then we have our fun firefighters. So this just kind of tells us everything about their suits. So that way we know tips and tricks, and it's just fun to learn about. So that way we know a little bit more about our first responders and how they can help save us in an emergency or assist us. Stop, drop, and roll. This is a fun little word puzzle that you guys can do together and just do it as a little passing activity. Maybe something before bed to help us calm down. You know, let's find fire alarm or heat, home escape plan. These are also words that are very important that have to do with fire safety. So this is a fun little activity to do together. Next is smoke and carbon monoxide alarms save lives. This is so important. I cannot stress how important this is. Ever since I was a kid, this was drilled into my brain. This is something that I think about all the time as an adult in my own home, with my nephews when I was teaching. This was always something that I was constantly thinking about, is where are the smoke alarms, where are the carbon monoxide detectors, and do they work? So this has a little fun word match to just kind of help us know what they do, what the difference is. So a smoke alarm with a blank sensor is recommended for placement near a kitchen or shower to reduce the chance of nuisance alarms. So for that, we would say photoelectric sensor. So that way, if there is smoke coming, that can come out. Now, if you didn't know the answer, like I didn't, right then, they are also at the bottom to help assist if it gets a little tricky. It happened to me. Then we have high-rise apartment and condominium fire safety. So important. Obviously, there is different rules for fires. It can be a little bit more tricky depending on the floor you're on. If you're on a high floor, it can be quite daunting. So scenario 1, there's a fire in your apartment suite and your smoke alarm is ringing. You must get out quickly. Go to the apartment door, down the hallway towards the fire exit stairwell, pull the alarm, and head down to the stairs outside. Call 911 from outside, meet the firefighters, and give them details. Scenario 2, you do not have a fire in your apartment. You hear the building alarm ringing. You must decide to get outside immediately or stay and protect yourself in place. So if you decide, you must all leave immediately, go down the stairs and outside. You must stay away from the smoke. If you decide to stay, you must protect yourself from the smoke. You can use duct tape to seal vents and doors. Keep doors between you and the smoke closed. Move to a room further away from the smoke. Call 911 and give details as smoke enters your suite. So what I love about this is that it also gives you various options. Do I want to leave? Do I want to stay? If so, how can I make sure that myself and my family are safe in those situations? So I feel like that is amazing. Next, we have high-rise safety. So the biggest danger to you is smoke that gets into a stairway or hallway. Make sure you stay away from the smoke. So the high-rise are 6 stories or higher. Ask your superintendent about your fire safety plan, as they should be posted in your building, as well as different buildings have different plans. So that would be important to know just for yourself and to have in your home. And it gives us a visual just kind of name-wise. So the elevator, the door, the exit sign, the in case of fire, the poles, these are all very important. And there's something that we walk by them every day if we do live in a high rise or to work or to school, and we don't necessarily know what they are. It's just something we see. How do we label that? How do we know how to pull them? What are they good for? What can we do? So this visual is great for just breaking it down, taking a minute. Okay, elevator, smoke alarms, water detectors, sprinklers, all of these are also here. This is also fun to go over just to kind of give a visual to the words, so that way, again, in a high panic situation, we don't have to stress as much. We see it, we can remember what to do. Next, we have match point, which again is just a fun word puzzle for the family to do. Fire triangle. This just talks about the beginnings of a fire with the oxygen, heat, and fuel. Again, another word play with the answers underneath. This also talks fires, how you could start different fires. So this is important for little tips and tricks on how fires can vary in the home. Next, we have our home safety checklist. This is so important. So we just want to make sure that we are keeping matches and lighters stored and locked out of reach of children. No one is allowed to smoke when medical oxygen is in use. So if you know anybody that has medical oxygen, making sure that we are keeping open flames away from them. Only use surge protectors or power strips that have internal overload protection. So if they shut off, they're not overheating and they don't combust and start a fire. We only use extension cords for temporary situations. We don't plug appliances in close to bath water. We set our water heater no higher than 120, which is something we suggested in water safety. We stay in the kitchen when frying, boiling, grilling food. We always keep a pot or lid on a large baking sheet nearby so we could put a lid on it in case of a stovetop fire. We use battery-operated flameless candles as a safer choice. Candles for religious observations are kept away from anything that can be burnt, and we stay in the room until the flame is out. Our smoke and CO alarms are tested once a month and replaced every 10 years. We have a kid-free zone of at least 1 meter around a stove where hot drinks are prepared or carried. So this is amazing. It tells us so many different things that maybe we didn't think about. And then at the end, it says how many boxes did you check off? 20, you're an expert. 12 to 19, you're well on your way to a fire-safe home. 5 to 12, you're on the right track, but there's still some work to be done. Lesson 4, there are some important changes that need to be made around your home and make sure that everyone is safe. So this is amazing also for self-reflection. If we find that as we're checking these off, we don't have, let's say we have lesson 4, then we know, okay, let's look through this booklet again. Let's look through our resources. How can we implement that in a safe way? And then we can gain more knowledge and eventually move our way up to the 12 to 19 to the 20 range, so we could be fire experts and make sure that our homes are nice and safe. Next, we have a find the hazards. So if you look through this home, circle online hazards. If you need some help, look at the checklist on the opposite page. So this one is just an act, just casually looking at the home. Okay, when we break it down and look at our images, what are the hazards? We have some electrical boxes near a bathtub, which, as we learned in water safety last week, that is an electrical hazard, electrocution. We have a bunch of things plugged into an outlet cord that looks like it's about to combust and possibly set their living room on fire. Huge hazard. If we go over here, we have a car that is running propane in heat that can cause a combustion, which of course leads to a fire. Here we have a mitten or a stove glove on top of a burner with a pot that's on and a lid all the way on the other side of the kitchen. That is a kitchen fire waiting to happen. Over here, we have a lighter on a cactus with books that are near it that can very easily cause, again, another fire. Here we have an open candle as well as unsupervised, open flames, toys everywhere, a car that can easily be slipped on, candle knocked over, fire. Over here, we have heaters underneath wood as well as it being blocked off. Can overheat, can cause a heater fire. This is very common in a lot of living areas. And then we have an iron that's been left on in a laundry room unattended, which of course can cause another fire. And all those are on the back. So next, emergency or not. This is when we know that we need to call first responders or emergency numbers. So we need help. Siren, if it's an emergency, call 911 for police, fire, or medical emergencies that need immediate action. Make sure you know the address of the emergency. So that is when we go back to our front page and we know our home address. That way we are able to provide that number to the proper authorities that are going to be coming to help us in that situation. So through this checklist, it's important to just go off and circle which numbers you think are an emergency. Now, out of the 13, there are only 4 on here that are actual emergencies. Now, I am going to read off a few just for suggestions, just so we can kind of do it together, maybe even a little trivia. So my dog has been missing for a few days. As much as that is very sad, it is not an emergency to call a first responder. My home is on fire. That is an emergency. We should have implemented our fire plan. We should already be waiting at our meeting area and have evacuated, as well as called the proper authorities once we have left the house. I want to practice calling in an emergency. As much as this is great practice, it does clog the lines for people that actually are in emergency situations. So that is not an emergency. However, you can role play together as a family and maybe give them a calculator or a phone that's not on, powered off, and go over, hi, my name is Cheyenne. My address is 30 College. I am working at Native Child and Family Services. There is a fire. My evacuation, I am across the street. Can people be here right away? Thank you. You can go over that with your child, state their name, their address, where they'll be. just so they have a run at it, so they can do that without actually calling into an emergency number until that is needed. Certificate of Fire Safety and Survival, where we can put our names as a partner in fire safety. Congratulations, you've worked your way through the book. You're on your way to becoming a safety expert and making sure everyone in your home stays safe. We hope you had fun getting to know the facts. There's so much more to know. Check us out online at toronto.ca/fire. And then once we're finished, we have stickers that we can put on our books because you are now a junior firefighter. You learned home safety. We did it together, and this is amazing and very important. So this book is fantastic. I really recommend going over it and having all these fun fire safety tips. So that was fire safety. Next week we are going to go over room and mobility safety. So I hope you guys have a great week, and I will see you next week. Bye guys.